Shalom, friends. The Piaseczner Rebbe's drasha for Toldot, Tafshin Bet, which would have been in November of 1941, is a really interesting and powerful drasha. One of the interesting things is it's one of the rare drashot where he reveals openly personal information. And he begins it has like a title line on top of it, which is unusual. It says, L'char shurichem HaShem v'ripa oti v'et chatani arav Rav Yecheskel HaKohen shlita mimachlatenu hamisukenet rachmana letzlan. After HaShem was merciful and cured me and my son-in-law, Rav Yecheskel HaKohen, from our dangerous illness. And just point of this, Rav Yecheskel HaKohen later was with the Rebbe in Twaniki, and they were killed presumably together at the same time in November of 1943, 2 years later after this was written. In any event, he later in the drasha mentions specifically not in a personal way, but it's clear that it's what he's talking about, that people having been cured from typhus, typhus. So that was presumably what he and his son-in-law were suffering from as well, the typhus epidemic, part of the diseases that were rampant in the ghetto because of the terrible health conditions and sanitary conditions, etc. So he talks about in this drasha how people, when they're saved from some kind of danger, automatically their response is to be happy and to thank HaShem. But he says that in the situation that they're in, often you just get out of one danger and the next thing you know, there's something else going on. So he mentions that originally, a couple of years ago, when we were first closed in the ghetto and then they were shooting people, and we knew many people that were killed, but the people that weren't killed were thankful. But then after that, they were people that were ill with typhus or other diseases. And then if they were saved, they were thankful again. But then some of them afterwards died of starvation. So it's a pretty grim description here. And he also throws in sort of survivor guilt kind of topic, which is that he says if a person is in a situation like this and is saved and is thankful, but don't they feel a little bit bad that maybe they're saying, Aniva afsiot, I'm just worried about myself because they've been saved, but all around them there are other people who haven't been saved. So how can they really celebrate? So it's a really, really difficult drasha. And he says that we know that those who hate Yisrael, the Sonei Yisrael, want to lahashmidenu, want to exterminate us, and they say that we'll all fall into their clutches and we won't escape. So it's a very, very grim situation. But he ends up by saying that essentially there is a place where a person is redeemed, is saved from danger by HaShem, and that they then sing and thank HaShem for the fact that they've been saved or they've been again saved. And he says the main shirah, the main singing of thanks to Hashem, is to also take on oneself tosefet avodah, an additional aspect of serving Hashem. And then he goes on to say that in a very classic Hasidic way and in a very much his own position, that everything we do as service of Hashem should be. He says, Gam b'sha'ot sher behem ochel v'shoteh yoshen v'chulei, that even those times, Gam hem tiena b'kedusha ba'avodah, that the times when we're eating, drinking, sleeping, etc., that seemingly are times when we could be learning or doing mitzvot or whatever, those also have to be times of holiness for Hashem. Because he says that it's not enough, really, once we've been saved, our lives have been saved. So it's not enough to do something extra for Hashem, in addition to thanking Him, but we really owe our lives to Hashem. So we have to dedicate our whole lives to Hashem. So what is our whole lives? Our whole lives is everything. It's not only when we're davening and learning and putting on tefillin or doing chesed. It's also every moment of our lives, whatever we're doing, eating, drinking, sleeping, our family life, etc., working is all, being in the army and miluim, it's all has to be done from a perspective of Kedusha and serving Hashem. And he says when we internalize that perspective, then he says, Mutar lo lismoch ve'ein ze b'chinat ani va'af si'od, kevan shel Hashem natanet chayav v'simchat Hashem hu sameach. So therefore, when a person is that perspective, then when they're happy about being saved, they don't have to feel guilty that they're only worried about themselves, because really they're not worried about themselves. They're really giving their lives back to Hashem, dedicating their lives to Hashem, and the simcha that they feel is a simcha of Hashem. It's not a personal thing. It's really something which is connected to everything and all of Am Yisrael as part of Hashem. So, in some way, all of us Am Yisrael these days feel like survivors. I mean, there are those who actually survived the Nova, and there are those amazing people who survived Hamas captivity and came back to inspire all of us amazingly. But I think everyone in some ways feels like we're all survived this minor Holocaust type of event, and certainly the plan that was hatched to attack Am Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael and Medinat Yisrael. And so all of us, I think, on whatever level, everyone in their own way, say, wow, yes, I have to dedicate my whole life to Hashem, everything, Yes, my mitzvot, and yes, my learning, and yes, my Torah, and yes, my tefillah, but also everything about my life. That when I'm eating, drinking, sleeping, working, going to miluim, whatever it is, to know that I'm serving Hashem at this moment. That makes us true Ovdei Hashem on the derech of Hasidus, certainly the way that the Piaseczner Rebbe saw it. And we're allowed to be happy then. And we should be happy. We should be thankful and happy that we're safe. And Be'ezrat Hashem, all of Am Yisrael will be safe, and that everything that's happening will be moving us closer and closer to the final redemption. We have good news for everyone. It's going to be, maybe today you're hearing this, Rosh Chodesh Kislev, a month of great light and tremendous redemption and salvation for Am Yisrael, Chag of Hanukkah. So may we have lots of good reasons as a people and as individuals to celebrate and thank Hashem and dedicate our lives to Hashem the way the Maccabees rededicated the temple to Hashem. We can rededicate our own internal temple to Hashem as well and have only good tidings. Shabbat Shalom, Chodesh Tov, much simcha, all the best.